It's Rob again with Switchback Electric Bikes, here to show you my latest creation. This one is very special to me because I've been working at it for quite a while. We're going to talk about the frame since this is a very special frame. It's made by Zoceli, which is a company out of the Czech Republic. This bike is actually a steel framed bike, which is, as most people know in the bike world, rare. And also what makes this bike extra rare, it's a full suspension steel frame. Then what makes it exceptionally rare, it's a full suspension steel framed high powered e-bike, which is unheard of in the bike industry. Let's talk about some of what goes into this frame and into this bike. First off, we had the frame custom made for me by Martin at Zoceli Bikes. He's great to work with, a good guy, and I recommend him highly. This frame was custom made for me, and the powder coat was obviously I chose, and we've had some modifications go into it. This one I had him put in a stronger booster arm on the brake to handle the torque arm from the internally geared hub, which also leads me to the next part of this bike, which is a 3x3 geared hub. It's a fairly new company out of Germany, which has all the gears contained inside the rear hub. It has 9 speeds, a very wide range of gears. I believe it's something like 586% gear range, which is extremely wide. Then we paired that with a very new shock that's on the market. It's a Cane Creek Tigon shock. This shock is kind of a hybrid. It combines the best of both worlds. It gives you the feeling of a coil, but with the bump absorption of an air shock. It's very fun to ride, and I'm really enjoying it so far. Next up, we're going to talk about the suspension on the front. We used the Ohlins RXF 38 M2, custom tuned, of course, to fit my needs as far as what I like in a bike and what is appropriate for the weight of an e-bike. So this motor here is obviously a BBSHD. It's been modified with all my usual custom goodies. It has all titanium hardware. Took out all the steel hardware and replaced it. Took out the plastic reduction gear inside and put in a steel one, so it's bulletproof. Next, I custom anodized the drive cover to give it that gold look to match the rest of the aesthetic of the bike. Also, I used short crank arms on this bike, 155. Since it's a very high-powered bike, you don't need all the pedal wattage you would get out of longer cranks. So that tends to be the trend now, especially with electric bikes, to move to shorter cranks. Saves you on pedal strikes, and also it just seems to work better. My crank size has gone down over the years from from a 170 to a 165. Now I'm at 155, and that seems to be the sweet spot for me. Next up, and I also custom anodized the crank arms to match the gold aesthetic that I was going for here. Then I use one-up component pedals because I really love the grip, the wide platform, and the grip that I get from those when I'm out on the trails. My bikes are specifically tuned for riding unmanicured enduro trails, first off, too. So that's why I tend to like fatter tires, and I like tires with more knobby to handle ride a lot of loose over hard terrain where you need a fatter tire to help get you over some of that loose stuff out there on the trail. And also this design with this bump out was new for me, but it was done because I wanted a battery that would have specific range for the type of riding I like to do. I typically like to do between 20 and 30 mile rides. And so I need a battery that can handle that kind of capacity. Adding this little extra bump out here did that. That 21 amp hour battery gets me just about anywhere I want to go. The hub on the front wheel of this bike is Industry 9. I really like their product. I mainly use Industry 9 hubs and Industry 9 headsets. This rim was specifically designed for the extra weight of e-bikes. And that's what we have here. And I also like a certain width because I tend to ride wider tires. Normally on my front, I usually prefer to ride at least a 2.8 to a 3.0 tire. And there again, it's because the trails I ride are very unkept and unmanicured. They could barely be called trails. So you need a tire that helps float you over the loose stuff. When it comes to brakes, I either use Hope, Shimano, or TRP. Those are the only brakes you'll ever see on any of my bikes. This particular bike has Hope brakes. They're Hope Tech 4 V4s that have been customized with some different colors that don't come from the Hope factory. This ones are black and gold to there again complement the aesthetic of the bike, and obviously they just work great. I have a 220 rotor in the front, which is, they do make larger now, but which is considered the biggest rotor you could traditionally run on a mountain bike. On the rear, I use a 203. This rotor was actually in the back, isn't a Hope rotor, it is specifically made to fit only a 3x3 geared hub. So that's why I use that rotor in the rear. Next, let's talk about the bars. I've recently found I really enjoy riding carbon bars. They just absorb so much of the trail vibration and it cuts down on hand fatigue enormously. These are NV bars. They have a 40 millimeter rise and they're just awesome. I really have come to just, I don't think I could ride non-carbon bars on any of my bikes anymore. Nowadays, the products have grown tremendously, but with this steel frame, that provides so much vibration dampening along with the carbon bars that it's just a joy to ride. No hand fatigue at all. Let's talk about the motor and some of the tech that's gone into it. Just to get this motor to mount correctly, it required frame modification and required custom parts. We had to press in adapters that are eccentric, meaning the hole in the center of the adapter isn't perfectly centered, it's off to one side. And in doing so, I had to create a jig to line up the two eccentric sides of it so they would be perfectly in line when you install the motor. The reason I had to do that is because I want to get the motor to tuck up as tight as I can to the frame to provide as much ground clearance as possible. This frame has 160 millimeters of rear travel and the front has 180. It's just an incredible ride. Oh, let's go into another interesting thing that took a lot of technical hurdles. This would be the chain tensioner. Typically, you won't really see too many geared hubs on full suspension mountain bikes for a few reasons. One, if you're going to run a belt drive, you have to have a way to tension that belt. And if you run a chain, you have to use a larger rear cog with this particular geared hub. This one, I'm running a 28 tooth rear cog on the rear. That's to keep the gear range right where I need it to be. The front is a 40. There again, that's a special chain ring just made for this motor out of Leakey. They're a company out of New Zealand. On this bike, I did something kind of different with this one. I obviously used Hope, the newest Hope brakes. They're Hope Tech 4 V4s, but I didn't use the stock lines. I always upgrade to Jaguar line. I like Jaguar cables. They're light, they're durable, and they really, really look good too, which is important to me because at the end of the day, we all want to ride good looking bikes. I used a Dibro frame wrap on this one to both protect the frame and add a little aesthetic to it. This one is a giraffe print, they call it. So it kind of has that aesthetic. Also, something I did different on this bike is I added, I guess what could be called a housing for the egg rider display. Normally, egg rider displays don't come with this sort of housing, but the reason I added this housing is for added strength. If I do happen to wreck, it protects it from side impacts and even head on, which is a good thing. Truly a special bike. From the steel frame to the suspension to the motor setup to the everything on this bike was set up specifically for high-powered e-bikes, which is a very niche market. And what I mean by high-powered, most typical e-bikes that you're going to buy from Specialized, from Trek, or any of the other big brands are going to max out at about 500 to 750 watts of power. This motor is 1500 watts. So even the most powerful name brand manufacturer bike, this has twice the amount of power. One other special feature about this bike, which comes into play when the ride is done, which not many other bikes come with, is when the ride is done and you want to have a beer with your friend in the parking lot, oh, it comes with, well, a bottle opener. Oh! Which gets you a coldie.
Oh yeah, I just got hosed.
I don't really have a name for this bike yet, but I'm calling it it's my steel Zoceli full suspension e-bike. I hope you all like it, and if you have questions, hit me up, and if you want one, I'd be happy to build you one of your own. Any way you like, any color, and yeah, bottle opener optional. All right, that's it everyone. Thanks for watching.